welcome back to my channel. I am Ashley, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you guys about the pros of being a registered home daycare and the pros of being a licensed home daycare. So before I continue, I am in the process, hold on, I gotta get this organized. So before I continue, I am in the process of filming a video where I talk to you guys about the differences of establishing a registered home daycare versus a licensed home daycare. So I thought that this video would kind of be like an introduction to that video, just so that you guys can get an idea of the differences when it comes to the two. So in the state of Florida, there are 3 different home daycares that you can have. You can have a registered home daycare, a licensed home daycare, and a large licensed home daycare. Every state is different. And then these pros, they might be different from state to state, but for the most part, they should probably be the same when it comes to any state. So I'm going to start with the pros of being a registered home daycare, and then I'm going to go into the pros of a licensed home daycare. So the first pro when it comes to being a registered home daycare is there's less training. So it really depends on the time crunch that you're on. Like if you want to have your registered home daycare opened within a certain amount of time, or whatever the case is, just know that being a registered home daycare, there is less training. So when you are registered in the state of Florida, you don't need to have a CPR certification. You don't need to be first aid certified. There's a lot of things that you don't need in terms of training, and also like other rules and regulations when you're registered versus when you're licensed. You do have to take the same core courses. There are 30 hours worth of training that you have to take whether you're registered or licensed. But then aside from that, you do again have to do more things when you're licensed than you do have to do when you're registered. So again, it just really depends on the time crunch. But I want you guys to take that with a grain of salt, because not for nothing, when it comes to being a home daycare in general, all of this is basically on you. So the 30-hour courses, you can take it in a day, you could take it in a week, you could take it in 2 weeks, it could take you 6 months to complete. It's pretty much self-paced. So that is when you are registered or licensed when it comes to the 30 hours, as well as CPR and first aid certification. Let's say on Monday you take 10 hours, Tuesday you take 10 hours, Wednesday you take 10 hours, and then you finish your 30-hour courses, because again, you do need the 30 hours. And then that Friday you take your CPR and first aid certification. Again, that's in a week. So again, a lot of these things are self-paced when it comes to opening, but in general, the main point of it is there's less training when you're registered. And I think that's a pro, because you know, less training, less work. The next pro with registered home daycare is it's a faster startup. So when you are registered in the state of Florida, you only have to abide by the Florida statutes, not the Florida Administrative Code. The Florida Administrative Code, I know that every state, from what I saw, has their own administrative code. And Florida's administrative code comes to like, you have to have a sink within X amount of feet from your diapering station. Now, the administrative code is more tedious, it's more detailed, it's more complex. Nothing impossible, but just know that it's easier when you're registered home daycare to just have to follow, I don't want to say follow less rules. I want you guys to not think that I'm over here saying, take shortcuts. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is the administrative code is a lot more detail and a lot of little things that you have to have when you're licensed and that you have to abide by than when you have to deal with just the Florida statutes. Again, it's really hard because I don't have both books in front of me to be like, okay, this is an administrative code and this is a statutes, but it is faster startup because there are less things that you have to do as a registered home daycare versus a licensed home daycare. And the last pro that I have is that home feels like home. When you are a licensed child care provider in the state of Florida, you have to have a bulletin board or a big board that has all of your documentation, so your license up there. I believe that there are some policies that you have to have up there, and your house can tend to look more like a daycare versus a home. So when you have anybody like a guest walk in or whatever, they're gonna look around and they're gonna be like, oh, okay, this is a daycare. So it's not gonna feel homey. When you're registered, you don't have to have that bulletin board up. I know that when I first started daycare, I had bulletin boards everywhere, posters everywhere. Daycare took up most of my home, and I did not like that. I was registered the entire time, but I thought that I had to have those things because again, when you're starting off, you don't know what you need to have, and I feel like having more than having less is better. So I went above and beyond, and I had posters everywhere, my registration on the wall. I had phone numbers for everything, my house looked like a daycare. But I realized that when you're registered, you don't need to have those things up. You can take it a little more easy, and your house can feel more like a house. And I love it. So those are the 3 pros of being a registered home daycare. So the 3 pros of being a licensed home daycare, the first one is that you qualify for the food program. So in the state of Florida, if you are registered and you're not licensed, you cannot qualify for the food program, which to me, it's a bummer. You know, there's a lot of money that goes into food. You know, you don't need to provide meals. I'm going to put that out there as well. If you guys are registered or licensed, it doesn't mean that you have to provide meals. You can have the families come with food and, you know, pack their kids their lunches, so you don't got to worry about that. But if you do provide food, it's a pro because you could qualify for the food program, and that's an expense that you're not going to have because you qualify for the food program. I don't know a lot about the food program. I'm going to just give you guys a quick little answer on what I heard of the food program. I heard that the kids that are enrolled, you're supposed to write what exactly that they consume, and then you get like a dollar amount for the things that they eat. I don't know how it works. I don't know if you give them rice or if you give them mac and cheese, if there's a difference. I'm not educated on that, so I don't want to sit here and make it seem like I am. But I do know that qualifying for the food program, especially if you offer meals, like me, I offer meals in my program and I'm registered. And if I had the food program, that would be a huge pro for me, but it's a con because I can't because I'm registered. So if you're licensed, to me, that's a pro because you can qualify for the food program. The next thing is that you have the option to grow and expand. So again, I told you in the beginning of the video, in the state of Florida, you can be either registered, licensed, or large licensed. You can never jump from registered to large licensed because in order to be large licensed, you have to have been licensed for, I believe, 2 years. So when you are a licensed home daycare provider, you do have the option to grow and expand. Large licensed home daycares do or can have more children in their program. So that's an option for you to make more income because you can accept more kids. You do have to have an employee. I believe it's 2 employees at all times. I'm not gonna get into detail because again, I am doing a video with more specifics, but I know that it's a pro because you get to expand when you are licensed. And then the last thing is that you may be able to make more money and have higher pricing. So this is an option. When you are licensed, again, you are up there when it comes to the tiers. You might be able to charge more. I know that also when it comes to funding, state funding, there is 4C or school readiness in the state of Florida. When you are licensed and you are registered, the state pays more per kid when you're licensed than you are registered. So for example, if you're a registered home daycare, a 2-year-old, this is an example, a 2-year-old the state will pay you like $50 for a 2-year-old, but if you're licensed, the state will pay you $80. You know what I mean? So you do get more money from the state when you are licensed than when you are registered. So those to me are all pros for registered home daycares and pros for licensed home daycares, and I thought that I would share them with you guys in today's video. I hope that this video was helpful, and you guys can take them as cons for each other. They basically piggyback. So a con for being a licensed home daycare is there's more training versus less training. There's might take you a little bit longer. And then your home might feel more like a business. So every pro that was for registered could be a con for licensed, and every pro that was for licensed can be a con for registered because again, you can't qualify for the food program, etc. So they basically piggyback off of each other, and I thought that I would just share those with you guys because I feel like it's helpful information. So that basically completes today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you guys have not already, and I will see you guys in my next video.